Hey, I'm Becca with the Happy Ever Crafter, and a few weeks ago in my Patreon community, I asked members if they would be interested in submitting a piece of their work for me to critique. And that might sound scary for some, but truly getting a critique from somebody and having somebody give you constructive feedback is such a good way to improve your skills and to improve your work in the future. And it's also a really good way for other students to see and learn and see mistakes that they might also be making in theirs. So a few of my students submitted some of their work, and in this video, I'm going to critique one of them and rebuild it and show you what the difference would be. So I printed off a picture of this student's work, and this is a sign that they made for somebody's wedding. And first of all, I want to say it's beautiful. Like, I actually would show up to a wedding and be like, that is a beautiful sign. And I'm sure that the guests did, and I'm sure that the couple was thrilled with this piece of work. That being said, the person submitted it for me to critique it. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what I would change about this and show you how I would do it. So first of all, when I look at this, the immediate thing that I spot is that I wish this ampersand was in the middle. It looks like it was kind of squished in there, and like that there wasn't enough space in between for that to fit. I also noticed that this Pete and Jenna is a little bit more right justified than centered. So I would want to center that whole thing. I'm going to make some notes off to the side. Then I also feel like this is a bit too big. Smaller, that's what that says. I know you can't read my writing very well. This as well, I think it should match the size of the stuff at the top. So smaller. And I also think that these things could fit on 2 lines and be smaller so that they would take up a little less room. There'd be more room for the main info of Pete and Jenna. And same thing here, this should be on 2 lines. Okay, then once all of that would be fixed, the only other thing that I would personally not do on this one is put in that border, the white border. I feel like it kind of like crowds the sign a little bit and takes out some of the space unnecessarily. I don't think it's terrible. I think it looks quite nice on here, but personally when I do that, I would just have the flowers coming right out of the edge of the frame. And then also, I think that because some of these flowers are colored in, it takes away from the main wording in the middle of the sign. So I would probably simplify these flowers a little bit so that they're less of a distraction and more of just a little bit of an addition. But yeah, I think those are the main changes that I would make. So what I'm gonna do is, because I don't have this sign piece in front of me, I'm taking a piece of paper that I have that's approximately the same dimensions, not the same dimensions, but the same ratio-ish. And I'm gonna rebuild on this piece of paper as if it was a full-size sign. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take my ruler and my pencil, and I'm going to mark out a border. So as if there was a border in this area where the flowers are filling out, I want to immediately mark that off so that I'm working inside that and not including that. So I'm going to go, I don't know, if I counted maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to just call these squares on here inches because we're pretending that this is a lot. Let me go 8 inches. And add that border in. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Now this is going to be messy and quick because I don't want to actually keep you here the length of time that it would take me to make a sign like this, but I just want to walk you through kind of like the process I would take. Okay, so now this border is in, and that's where I know there's going to be florals coming in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rough in where this welcome to the wedding of would land. And because I want it on 2 lines now instead of 3, I'm going to map that in properly. And to me, to the eye, it looks good to make the border before the letters kind of similar to this top piece, but it doesn't need to be quite as big. So if this is 8, maybe I'll go 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would be the top of my X height for those letters. And then let's say that they are 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 inches. We're just gonna kind of try things out first. And I need some space before the next letters. So we'll go 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna try these things out and see. if, oops, I did those. Can we just note my eraser real quick? I heart mistakes. I feel like everyone needs an eraser that says that in their life. And then also this thing, it's a tabletop vacuum. How fun is that? Okay, so I made this, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do that instead of 4. Okay, so I have the space for the welcome to the wedding of, and that's gonna go on those 2 lines. Then I know that I'm gonna want 2 more lines at the bottom for September 9th, 2023. So I'll do that math the exact same way up from the bottom and get that in, and then we'll know how much room I have left for the main Pete and Jenna part. All right, so the proportions of this actually feel pretty good. For the small lettering here, the big section for the names, and then the small lettering down at the bottom again. So I'm gonna run with that and try and put it in here and make sure that I can get it to fit. Now I kind of want to give it a little bit of a border on the sides too. You know what? No, that's okay. Let's see. I'm gonna put welcome to the wedding of. So I'm gonna start like pretty much right at the edge here and just see how far I get. Okay, looks like I'm pretty much gonna be spot on here. Now, of course, these letters are not perfect. They're just to kind of map things out and make sure that we are going to fit relatively well. Welcome to the, and then wedding of is shorter, so I'll start inside here a little bit. Great. Okay, welcome to the wedding of. Then I'm gonna do my bottom over here, so September 9th, 2023. Okay, I'm realizing I'm not quite centered here, so I'll need to move that over a little bit when I put it in the actual pen, and then down here. Okay. So there we have it. We have our main letters blocked out for the info parts, and then we're gonna put in our couple's name. So I'm going to want some space here. I'm gonna do that same matching space from here. So that was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna put that in. Then I'm gonna do the same thing from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I have this much space to work with, but I also know that I'm okay to go a little bit above that. I mostly just want my baseline to be lower. So I'm gonna allow my P can come higher into here and stuff like that. So let's say I want, about this much for Pete, this much for Jenna. Where does that land me? Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try that. And then of course, adjust as we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's for the basic X height of the word. So for example, my P might come up bigger like this. But my E, T, E, basically my E's are fitting within that space. And it's a little bit big, so I kind of made them a little smaller. And in fact, I now think that this is getting a little too close. So I'm going to, you know what? Let's just see what happens when I put in Jenna down here. I'm gonna mimic the style of the G here as much as I can. That's not a style that comes out naturally for me, but I want this to kind of look as much as possible like this person's work. So let's go get the G sitting on the baseline here. Okay. G, E, N, A. Okay, yeah, so I like the amount of space like here a lot better than what's happening up here. So I'm gonna move this peat down a little bit. It's tricky when you have a letter with an ascender like that T. Man, I love that eraser. Okay, so now let's say I move my baseline down a little more like to here, and that's where I want my E's to be. So then my P can start a little more like this. Yeah, better. Okay, so now Pete and Jenna is like for sure the focus of this sign. And we could do two things. We could do an ampersand the same way that this person had, and we could just make it smaller and fit it in the middle of these words. So we could do something like that. I like the look of it. I feel like it looks cohesive. I might, when I actually put this in, if I were gonna do that ampersand, I might move this E down a little bit, and same with this N, so that it's not quite so tight in here. But in general, I like the flow of this. So we could do that. Another option we could do is we could put in a little bit, either block letters could be as simple as just doing that, which I actually kind of really like the way that it's mimicking the top and the bottom. And then if we wanted to get fancy, we could do something like a little banner style thing happening here. But I actually, on this sign, don't think it's necessary. I actually really kind of like it just with the letters, especially given how tight that felt with everything in there. I actually really like that. So I'm gonna do this version, but to the person who made this sign, if you really like the ampersand, I also liked the ampersand option. So as long as it's centered instead of off to the side like this, I'm happy with it. Okay, now let's talk about the foliage around the edges. These are really cute, but I personally think that if just these little leaves weren't filled out, it would actually kind of do more service to the sign and not distract from the words Pete and Jenna. So we could do that. Personally, I like doing just leaves on the signs like this and have them coming out. You could just use the border that we did, but I like it to feel a little more organic in the sense of like it can fill in some of the spaces, like this open space here and over here. We could have one kind of coming into that area. And just making them kind of like bigger and more simple. I find it can really kind of do more for a sign than having like a ton of small stuff filling it out. But it's honestly personal preference. I think this also looks really cute. So whatever floats your boat, really. But for me, this would be my move. Just doing some more simple, bigger stuff throughout. Okay, so there we have it, my general layout. Now I'm gonna go through really quickly. I don't wanna spend too much more time on this because I think you get the general idea of the changes that I made from one to the other, but I'm gonna go through with my Sharpie and just kind of like firm it up a little bit. Now again, I would spend more time perfecting the size of these letters in order to get them to fit really perfectly on this line. Okay, there's the basic block letters, then I'll put in my calligraphy style stuff just to kind of watch it pop. Okay. And then lastly, if I were to just kind of like solidify some of these florals, again, I would spend some more time kind of laying them out a little more finely, but you'll get the idea. Ignore that that has a line through it. And then I guess I'll take some time, go through with a little bit of an eraser so that we can get the final effect of this. Good thing I have a desktop eraser for all of this eraser dust. Desktop vacuum, I mean. All right, now that this is done, I'm looking at it and I would even critique myself. We don't have time for all of that, but this is the kind of thing where this would have been my rough sketch. I would have gone through it with a fine-tooth comb and then perfected it before I put it on a sign. Here's what I'm seeing. I actually want this and this to be even smaller. I think they could be like, they could fit probably more in a box that looks kind of about that size and be much smaller. Then this wouldn't look so cramped. And same here, this could be more like that size. And then I think I would be a lot happier with it. I actually just think that in general, when it comes to wedding signs, particularly when there's a bride and groom's name on it, or groom and groom, bride and bride, whoever, when there's names on it and you're trying to just convey the message of like, welcome to the wedding, nobody cares that it says welcome to the wedding of. They just care about the names of the people getting married, right? So if you just have a big, bold name of them getting married and the rest of it can just be secondary, then that works totally fine. So yeah, I would shrink those two things. And then actually looking at it now, some of these flowers that I quickly roughed in come in a bit too far. They should be a little more spread out so that the real focus is on that middle part. But in general, everything I said about the way to fix this one, making things smaller, making things more centered, moving that ampersand in, I think that all stands. I hope this was helpful. So if you liked this kind of video and if you want to be in the Patreon community where in the future we might do more of these, actually, if you're watching this and you liked it, tell me in the comments if you want me to do more of these, if you find them helpful, because I actually just genuinely don't know if this is something that people like. So let me know in the comments if you want more of them. And then if you want to be part of the Patreon community where you will get to submit your work, please come and join us. It's such a great community. I'm going to put the link to that in the description down below. And next up, I'll link you to another video that I think you're going to like. But thanks for watching, and I hope it was helpful. Talk to you soon.